So, we will discuss about connective tissue. The main features of connective tissue is the presence of large amount of intercellular substance or matrix. Here, in comparison to epithelial tissue, here there is presence of large amount of intercellular substance or matrix. Further, the main function of connective tissue is carried out by matrix, not by the cells. Main function carried out by the matrix. Now, the functions of the connective tissue. What are the functions? There are 5 important functions of connective tissue. Number 1, to connect up various structures, hence the name is connective tissue. So, they connect up various structures within the body. That's why the name is connective tissue. Then number 2, to form packing around organs in the viscera, within the body, within inside. The packing around organs is performed by this connective tissue. So, to form packing around organs in the viscera, so that the organs are not dislodged or displaced. So, they are fixed in their own place because of this packing. Then number 3, to act as a scar tissue, that is, connective tissue has the ability to replace the tissues which have been damaged or destroyed by injury. If any tissue is destroyed, damaged by destruction, damaged or destroyed by injury, then that is replaced by the connective tissue. Then number 4, to combat foreign toxins. Foreign toxins, if enter into the body, they are neutralized by the connective tissue. So, they combat the foreign toxins. And number 5, to form a supporting framework, to form a supporting framework of the body, that is, the skeletal in function. For example, the bone and cartilage, they support the framework of the body. So, these are the 5 main functions of the connective tissue. Now, connective tissue is divided into 3 major groups. These are, number 1, connective tissue proper, connective tissue proper, then number 2, skeletal tissue, and number 3, fluid connective tissue. Fluid connective tissue. So, these are 3 major groups of connective tissue. So, connective tissue proper, then skeletal tissue and fluid connective tissue. First, we will discuss about the connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper is of four types. These are areolar, white fibrous, yellow fibrous, and adipose connective tissue. So, these are four types, four major types: areolar connective tissue, white fibrous connective tissue, yellow fibrous connective tissue, and adipose connective tissue. First is areolar connective tissue. This is the areolar connective tissue, and so areolar connective tissue is composed of three elements. Areolar connective tissue is composed of three elements. These are the matrix, then interlacing fibers, and numerous cells. So, three elements are there. These are the matrix, interlacing fibers, and numerous cells. First, the fibers. The fibers are of two types: white fibers and yellow fibers. White collagen fibers, yellow elastic fibers. White fibers are wavy. You can see they are wavy. White fibers are wavy, unbranched. They are not branched and arranged in bundles. They are formed of a protein called collagen. So it is known as white collagen fibers. Collagen is the name of the protein. So white fibers are formed of a protein called collagen. Yellow fibers are few in number. You can see this blue colored one in the diagram, that is yellow fibers. So they are few in number, single, you can see single, straight, branched, they are branched and joined with one another. Here they have joined with one another, forming a delicate network. So they are single, straight, branched and joined with one another, forming a delicate network. They are formed of a protein called elastin. So they are known as yellow elastic fibers. That protein is known as elastin. The fibers are secreted by the fibroblasts. Fibroblasts, they secrete the fibers. Different types of cells are found in the amorphous ground substance of the matrix. So there are different types of cells which are present in the amorphous ground substance matrix. These are fibroblasts, then histiocytes and the mast cells. So these are the fibroblasts, histiocytes and mast cells. Now let us see what is their function of these three categories of cells. Fibroblasts secrete fibers, so they are known as fibroblasts. Histiocytes are phagocytic, means macrophages. They ingest foreign particles. They ingest, they feed on the foreign particles and digest them and destroy them. So they are known as phagocytic or macrophages. Mast cells probably elaborate the anticoagulant, that is heparin, histamine and vasoconstrictor serotonin. Vasoconstrictor means which constricts the blood vessels. Vasoconstrictor, that is known as serotonin. So these are elaborated by the mast cells. Then location, where this areolar tissue is present, location of areolar tissue. This tissue forms a continuous layer beneath the skin, just skin tole. So this tissue forms a continuous layer beneath the skin, fills up the spaces between many organs. Between many organs, the spaces is filled with this areolar tissue, act as a packing between muscles. It acts as a packing between muscles, occurs in the peritoneum and mesenteries, and also occurs in the Habersian canals, which are present within the bone. Habersian canal we will discuss when we will discuss about the bone. I will tell you about the Habersian canal. So also occurs in Habersian canals around blood vessels and nerves. So that is areolar connective tissue. Then white fibrous connective tissue. So white fibrous connective tissue. So, this is the longitudinal section LS of white fibrous tissue. This is the areolar tissue, then this is the bundle of white fibers, then fibroblasts, this is the capillary blood vessel, and this is the areolar sheath, means covering, areolar sheath. So, areolar connective tissue, it is a modification of areolar tissue also. So, it is known as the white fibrous, because white fibers are dominant. So, white fibrous connective tissue. This is a modification of areolar connective tissue. Here, white fibers are arranged compactly in parallel bundles. You can see this is a bundle of white fibers, this is another bundle of white fibers, this is another bundle of white fibers. So, they are arranged compactly in parallel bundles. The fibroblasts remain squeezed between these bundles. You can see these are the fibroblasts. So, they remain squeezed within the white fiber bundles. For example, this tissue occurs in tendons. This tissue occurs in tendons which are inelastic cords, and connect the muscles to the connective tissue sheath of the bone. So, they connect the muscles with the bone. This also occurs in dura mater of brain, because brain, around the brain there is pia mater and dura mater. So, this also occurs in the dura mater of brain and spinal cord and kidney capsules. Then yellow fibrous tissue. Then yellow fibrous tissue. So, this is the yellow fibrous connective tissue. This is also a modification of areolar tissue. This consists mainly of parallel bundles of yellow elastic fibers. There are many parallel bundles of yellow elastic fibers. fibroblasts and very fine bundles of very fine white fibers may be found between the bundles. So, these are the thick bundles, here very fine bundles are there and fibroblasts of yellow fibers are there. This is found in the ligaments. This is found in the ligaments which join the bones. So, bone and different bones are joined by ligaments. This also occurs in the walls of the arteries and in the bronchioles, in the wall of the arteries and in the bronchioles. Then adipose tissue. So, this is the adipose connective tissue. This is also another modification of ordinary areolar tissue. So, this is also another modification of ordinary areolar tissue. The cells of this tissue are numerous, they have become very much enlarged. The cells are, you can see, very much enlarged and filled with neutral fat. This is the fat filled with neutral fat which occupies the center. The center is occupied by the fat, that it is the fat globule which occupies the center, pushing the cytoplasm and nucleus to the periphery. That is why these are known as this is the peripheral nucleus, and the cytoplasm around the fat globule is known as peripheral cytoplasm, which do not occupy the center, they are present on the periphery. The fat is composed of a mixture of stearine. The fat is composed of a mixture of stearine, olein and palmitoene So, the fat is composed of stearine, mixture of stearine, olein and palmitoene. The fibers are few, you can see the fibers are few and form a kind of loose and vascular network which support the large fat-laden cells. The large fat-laden cells means the cells filled with fat, fat-laden cells. Example, this tissue occurs in the fat body. Within the body there are fat bodies, so they are present in the fat body. In mammals, this tissue is present as a layer below the skin, skin ro tale, just below the skin, and insulates the body, insulates the body. And बेसी जार बेसी फैट स्किन तले थिबो आडिपोज टिश्यू बेसी ठंडा हेले मध्य ताको ठंडा लागिबो नै, गरम हेले भी सेया. So it acts as an insulator. So it insulates the body. In eye sockets, आखिटा जो सॉकेट भितर रही आमर, in eye sockets, this tissue acts like a cushion, गद्दी भाया काम कर. तेणु आखि उपर जदि प्रेसर पकईदे आखिर किसी इंपैक्ट हम नहीं, कहीं पछ पाखे रही आडिपोज कनेक्टिव टिश्यू व्हिच acts like a cushion. So in eye sockets, this tissue acts like a cushion to absorb mechanical shocks. Pressure जदि पड़ला, that is a mechanical shock. The camel's hump, camel रो पिठी उपरे जो hump टा रही ओठर, camel's hump is largely fat laden adipose tissue, is largely fat laden adipose tissue. So that is the connective tissue proper, then skeletal tissue. Skeletal tissue. This forms the endoskeleton of the vertebrate body, which includes the cartilages and bones, which includes cartilages and bones. The cartilages are of four types. Cartilages are of four types. These are hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, and calcified cartilage. So hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, and calcified cartilage. Bones are same everywhere. So there are four types of cartilages: hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, and calcified cartilage. First, hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage. So this is hyaline cartilage. It is popularly known as gristle. It is popularly known as gristle. Its cheese-like matrix consists of chondrine. Matrix composed of chondrine containing a delicate network of collagen fibers. Here there is a delicate network of collagen fibers. Chondrine is produced by cartilage cells called as chondroblasts or chondrocytes. Here these are the chondroblasts or chondrocytes. These cells occur in groups. These cells occur in groups of 2, 4, 8 cells in fluid filled spaces called lacunae. So here you can see this is a fluid filled space that is called as lacuna. Lacunae means plural, lacuna is singular. Here this is the lacuna, this is the lacuna, this is a full filled space, and these are the chondroblasts or chondrocytes. They occur in groups. You can see here this is a group of 2, this is a group of 4. There are also group of 8 cells. They are present within the lacuna. The cartilage is covered by a top fibrous membrane. This cartilage is covered by a top fibrous membrane called perichondrium. Perichondrium means around the cartilage. So perichondrium. This cartilage is highly elastic. This cartilage is highly elastic, so hyaline cartilage, highly elastic and resistant to crossing. Then let us see where is the location, where it is present. It occurs in larynx and trachea. Larynx, the sound box, and the trachea, the windpipe. It also occurs in the limb bone joints. जोठी limb bone गुड़ाक joint हेची कोहनी आंठू. So limb bone joints it also occurs in limb bone joints, which reduces the friction between two articular surfaces. So friction is reduced. Then number 2, elastic cartilage. Elastic cartilage. So this is elastic cartilage. It is fundamentally similar to hyaline cartilage. It is fundamentally similar to hyaline cartilage. It is more elastic or flexible. It is more elastic or flexible. This is because of presence of numerous yellow fibers. Because of presence of numerous yellow fibers running through the matrix in all directions. You can see it runs through the matrix in all the directions. Then location. It is present in the pinna of ear, external ear, that is known as pinna. So, pinna of ear, tip of nose, nakar upre, tip of nose, in the epiglottis, which guards the glottis. Then number 3, fibrocartilage. So, this is fibrocartilage. It is similar to elastic cartilage. It is similar to elastic cartilage, except that here white collagen fibers are abundant, means more, much more. White collagen fibers are abundant in the matrix. So, this is more rigid. That was elastic. This is more rigid. This is found in intervertebral discs, means in between vertebrae. मेरुदंड जो हाड़ सब रही आमर वर्टिब्रा ता भितरे. So this is found in intervertebral discs which bind the vertebrae in mammals. प्रत्येक vertebrae को they bind. Then calcified cartilage. Calcified cartilage. So, this is a calcified cartilage. This is periosteum on the surface. This is the outer layer of osteoblast. This is the inner layer of osteoblast. These are the marrow cells. So, this is the inner side, and these are the osteocytes, and they are present in the lacunae, air fluid filled spaces, and these are the canaliculi canals originating from the osteocytes which connect all the cells. So, this is a calcified cartilage, and this is the matrix intercellular substance. It is similar to hyaline cartilage, except that here the matrix is impregnated with lime salts. The matrix is impregnated with lime salts, means calcium salts. This occurs in the pubis of old frogs, not in the young frogs, in the old frogs, pubis of old frogs, in suprascapula of pectoral girdle, and at the ends of humerus and femur, and at the ends of humerus and femur. So, these are the 4 types of cartilages. Then the bones. Then the bones. So this is the structure of transverse section of a long bone, showing the structure of the bone. This is the marrow cavity, because bone marrow in the long bones, there is a marrow cavity in the center, and that is filled with a substance known as bone marrow. Two types of bone marrow are there, yellow bone marrow and red bone marrow. We'll discuss later on. And this is the innermost layer. So inner contour lamellae, these are the lamellae, spaces, full spaces, inner contour lamellae, just narrow the on the side of the marrow. Then these are the Haversian canals, long canals are there within the bone, and each Haversian canal is surrounded by again lamellae. These are the lamellae, and here in the middle, see, between these three, here these lamellae are known as interstitial lamellae. So this is known as the Haversian system, interstitial lamellae. Then this is outer contour lamellae, and this is the surface layer, periosteum. So this is the TS of long bone of mammal. The matrix of bone is composed of elastin. The matrix of bone is composed of elastin, but in cartilage that is chondrine, here elastin, and is impregnated with various inorganic salts. So the matrix is impregnated with various inorganic salts such as the carbonate, phosphate and fluoride of calcium. So calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate, calcium fluoride and magnesium phosphate. So these are the salts which are present in the matrix. So inorganic salts, and these salts form 2/3 of the bone weight. Bone ର ଯେତିକି weight ତାର 2/3 is due to the presence of these inorganic salts, and the salts also determine the strength and hardness of the bone. Strength and hardness of the bone. Long bones have a centrally situated marrow cavity. Marrow cavity. गोटे उदाहरण मु देई पारे जे जो माने सब जेतबेले घरे मटन बा चिकेन खाउच गोडर येटा ता भितरे जो ससटा थाए सेटा होउची बोन मैरो, तेणु से कैविटीटा हला मैरो कैविटी इन द लॉन्ग बोन्स, अन्य बोन रे नुह, कारण आमर मुंडरे जो बोन गुड़ाक रही ता भितर कौन कैविटी अच्छी बा भटिब्री ता भितर भी कैविटी नहीं, तेणु मैरो कैविटी केवल लॉन्ग बोन रे रही. So long bones have a centrally situated marrow cavity. Minute spaces called lacunae, minute spaces called lacunae contain osteocytes, in the matrix. All the lacunae are interconnected by canalicules. Here these are the canalicules. So all the lacunae are interconnected by canalicules, which also runs into the marrow, which also runs into the marrow. The bone marrow is yellow in color and is composed of adipose tissue. The bone marrow is yellow in color and is composed of adipose tissue and blood vessels. The ends of long bones contain red bone marrow. Long bone ro end re. So the ends of long bones contain red bone marrow, which forms the blood cells. That's why it is known as red bone marrow. It forms the blood cells. अन्य जगह रे जो बोन मैरो रहिला सेटा ला येलो बोन मैरो, येलो in color. The marrow cavity is lined by endosteum. Here the marrow cavity is lined by endosteum, and bone is surrounded by periosteum. This is the surface layer, periosteum. A number of longitudinal canals are present in the mammalian bones called Haversian canals. So these are the canals which are present lengthwise. So a number of longitudinal canals are present because this is a transverse section. तेणु आम ये मझे गोल गोल जो देखुचे जदि एलएस नहीं था लंबा पाइप भाया केनाल सब रोचे. So a number of longitudinal canals are present in the mammalian bones called Haversian canals. Each Haversian canal contains an artery, a vein, a lymphatic vessel, a nerve, and some osteocytes. So everything which enters into the bone, they are present within these Haversian canals: artery, vein, lymph vessel, nerve, and some osteocytes, bone forming cells, osteocytes. All are packed within areolar tissue. ता चारि कड़े सब areolar tissue थी पैकिंग करके रखुची within the Haversian canal. A transversely running Volkmann's canals, a transversely running Volkmann's canals connect the Haversian canals. Suppose this is a Haversian canal, this is another Haversian canal, this is another Haversian canal. So they are longitudinal. Now transversely there are Volkmann's canals which connect the Haversian canals. So these are the Volkmann's canals. Volkmann's canals. These are the Haversian canals. So Volkmann's canals, transversely running Volkmann's canals connect the Haversian canals. The lamellae in between the Haversian system. So this is one Haversian system, this is another Haversian system. Now here, in between these three, these lamellae, they are known as interstitial lamellae, in between the Haversian systems, only for packing. So the lamellae in between the Haversian systems are called interstitial lamellae, which fill up the space between the Haversian systems, which fill up the space between the Haversian systems. Surrounding the marrow, there are inner contour lamellae. So surrounding the marrow, there are inner contour lamellae, and below the periosteum, there are outer contour lamellae, or that is also known as circumferential lamellae. So that is about the skeletal tissue. Then the fluid connective tissue. So fluid connective tissue. Here the connective tissue is a fluid connective tissue. Blood is considered as the living and circulating fluid connective tissue. So blood is considered as the actively living and circulating fluid connective tissue. Blood is composed of free living cells. Blood is composed of free living cells, which includes the erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes or platelets. Erythrocytes means RBCs, red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. Then leukocytes means WBCs, white blood cells, and the platelets or thrombocytes floating in a fluid called plasma. So they float on a fluid called plasma, which is the intercellular substance or matrix. So here the cells are the RBC, WBC and platelet, and the intercellular substance of the matrix is the plasma, blood or plasma. In its position as a connective tissue is somewhat disputable. Dwanda rahichi, somewhat disputable. Its position as a connective tissue. Karana connective tissue taku ame koi pariba because of some reasons. Taku connective tissue madhya koi paribani because of some reasons. Still taku madhya ame kauche connective tissue. Bartan dekhiba je kouthi pai ame taku connective tissue kon taro rahichi character. So blood is considered as a connective tissue because of two reasons. Blood is considered as a connective tissue because of two reasons. Number one, there is presence of large amount of fluid matrix or plasma. There is presence of large amount of fluid matrix or plasma, which is the intercellular substance, that is the matrix, and in the blood it is called as plasma, intercellular substance. Then number two, it can act as a supporting tissue, because connective tissue function koichi skeletal in function, supporting tissue, blood madhya seta gote character. It can act as a supporting tissue, means skeletal in function, as under high pressure it renders an organ turgid. Jodi gote organ re tar pressure adhika jetebole hobo setebole se organ ta hard heijibo. So it can act as a supporting tissue, that means skeletal in function, as under high pressure it renders an organ turgid. Example is the mammalian penis. Penis, if the blood pressure will be high, then it becomes turgid. It becomes turgid. So these are the two reasons which favors it as a connective tissue. Blood cannot be considered as a connective tissue because of two reasons. Because of two reasons. Number one, the matrix or the intercellular substance is not entirely secreted by blood cells, but in the tissue we have discussed that the intercellular substance or matrix is secreted by the cells, but here the matrix, that is the intercellular substance, is not entirely secreted by blood cells. Number two, the new blood cells are not formed by the division of pre-existing corpuscles, means the cells do not divide. But in a tissue, connective tissue or other tissues, the cells divide, they multiply. But here, the cells do not multiply, they do not divide. So the new blood cells are not formed by the division of pre-existing corpuscles. In spite of this, blood is considered as a fluid connective tissue. In spite of this, still it is considered as a fluid connective tissue. Now blood is composed of plasma or the matrix and corpuscles or the cells. So what is the difference between corpuscles and cells? I will tell you. So blood is composed of the plasma or the matrix and the corpuscles or cells. Plasma constitutes about 55% and corpuscles 45%. So, corpuscles are the cells 45% and the plasma 55%. Blood cells are of three types, which I have already told you. Blood cells are of three types. These are the erythrocytes or RBCs and leukocytes or WBCs and blood platelets or thrombocytes. Now, let us see what is RBC. RBC means the red blood cell, but in case of human is red blood corpuscle. It is called corpuscle because there is no nucleus. It is non-nucleated, enucleated, no nucleus within the RBC. So, red blood corpuscle or cell, we can say it is without nucleus, and the main function, the chief function or only function we can say is respiratory, because it carries oxygen, transports oxygen. Hemoglobin is present within the RBC and that binds with oxygen and it is carried by the red blood corpuscles. Then WBCs, white blood cells. Here the cells are nucleated, there is nucleus, and the function is to protect the body against microbial infections. Protect the body against microbial infections means the bacteria, virus, when they infect, and these WBCs, they protect the body from those infections. So, protect the body against microbial infections, for which they are regarded as the microscopic policemen of the body. They are regarded as microscopic policemen of the body. As you know, the police protects us, gives us protection. So, similarly, the WBCs protect the body against microbial infection. So, they are regarded as the microscopic policemen of the body. Then platelets. The platelets or the thrombocytes, their main function is blood coagulation, means clotting, blood coagulation or clotting. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯେଉଁଠି ଆମର ଖଣ୍ଡିଆ ହେଇଯାଉଛି କିଛି ସମୟ ପରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ବ୍ଲଡ଼ ଫ୍ଲୋ ସେଠି ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯାଉଛି 3 ରୁ 5 ମିନିଟ୍ ଭିତରେ, କାହିଁକି ନା ରକ୍ତଟା ଜମାଟ ବାନ୍ଧିଯିବ ସେଠି, ଯେଉଁଟାକୁ କୁହାଯାଏ କ୍ଲଟିଂ। ଆଉ ସେଥିରେ ମେନ୍ ରୋଲ୍ ରହୁଛି ଆମର ପ୍ଲେଟଲେଟ୍ର, ଥ୍ରମ୍ବୋସାଇଟ୍ର, that is known as coagulation or clotting. Then the lymph. So, you can see this is one artery and it breaks up into fine branches known as capillary, which unite again to form the vein. So, blood flows here through artery from heart, then through vein it goes to the heart, here through capillary the plasma is filtered, some plasma enters into the intercellular substance, that is the tissue fluid, then from tissue fluid a part of it enters into the lymph capillaries and that is known as the lymph. So, three types of fluids here, one is the blood, then tissue fluid, then lymph. Three types of fluids are there, blood, tissue fluid and lymph. So, they are similar, you can say. The tissue fluid is a part of a blood plasma that comes out of the blood capillaries. So, it is a part of blood plasma that comes out of the blood capillaries, capillary bahar ko asuchi out of blood capillaries into intercellular substance. Here there is intercellular substance. Lymph is, so that is the tissue fluid. Lymph is that part of tissue fluid which enters into the lymph capillaries, So, the blood plasma, tissue fluid and lymph are therefore basically similar, Lymph differs from blood in the absence of RBC. So, there is difference between the lymph and the blood. In the blood there is RBC, in the lymph there is no RBC, because only the filtration of plasma occurs. That is why blood is red in color and lymph is white in color, colorless, because of absence of RBCs. So, lymph differs from blood in the absence of RBCs and some plasma proteins. So, some plasma proteins are also present in blood, not in lymph. So, here the lymph is colorless due to the absence of RBCs. The basic function of lymph is transportation of substances from the tissues into the blood, So, that is about the connective tissue. Then we will go to the next tissue, that is the nervous tissue. So, nervous tissue, it is ectodermal in origin. As you know, there are three germinal layers, ectoderm, endoderm, and in between is the mesoderm. It is ectodermal in origin. It develops from the ectoderm. Nervous tissue consists of the nerve cells or the neurons, and neuroglia. So, nervous tissue consists of the nerve cells or neurons and neuroglia. First, neuroglia is composed of more or less undifferentiated supporting cells and form a packing around the nerve cells. So, neuroglia composed of more or less undifferentiated supporting cells. Undifferentiated supporting cells and form a packing around the nerve cells. And the neuron. Neuron is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. It is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system, and nervous system processes called nerve fibers. In the nervous system there are various processes called nerve fibers. Two types of nerve fibers are there. One is axon, other is the dendron. So, this is a neuron or nerve cell. See, this is the cell body that is known as the cyton, this is the nucleus, these are the nasal granules. So, two types of nerve fibers are there. These are the dendrons and this is the axon this is the axon, and these are the nasal granules, and in the axon it is surrounded by neurolemma. This is the neurolemma, and first it is covered by myelin sheath, then around this it is known as neurolemma. So, myelin sheath here you can see absent, it is constricted, it looks like constricted, and these constrictions are known as nodes of Ranvier. Here the neurolemma is in a direct contact with the axis cylinder. So, this is the axis cylinder, and this is the nucleus which is present in the sheath, that is known as sheath nucleus. So, this is a neuron, the nerve cell neuron. So, neuron, as I told you, it is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system, and the processes are called nerve fibers. There are two types of nerve fibers, one is axon and other is dendron. First, axon. It is a efferent process, that means it carries impulses away from the nerve cell, carries impulses away. So, it is efferent, it is efferent. So, efferent process, it carries impulses away from the nerve cell, arises from the axon hillock. So, this one, this region is known as axon hillock, axon hillock. It arises from the axon hillock. It is single but constant, its number is single but constant. That means, if in a nerve cell or neuron there is only one fiber is present, that is the axon. If two are present, one axon, one dendron. If three are present, one axon, two dendron. If 10 are present, one axon and 9 dendron. So, it is single and constant. जेते फाइबर थिबो ता भितरु गोटिए होची एक्शन, जदि केवल गोटिए मात्र फाइबर अछि सेटा ही एक्शन. सो सिंगल बट कांस्टेंट. देन डेंड्रन, these are afferent processes because they bring impulses to the nerve cell. So, afferent processes, they collect impulses from other neurons and carry them towards the nerve cell. So, these are afferent processes, dendron. These are afferent processes called because they carry impulses from other neurons to the nerve cell, towards the nerve cell, and number is nil to numerous because there may be a single fiber, that is the axon. So, dendrons 0. There may be 10, out of which 9 dendrons, 1 axon. So, from nil to numerous their number. Axon, there is no nasal granule which produce energy. You can see in the axon there is no nasal granule. These granules are not present in the axon. These granules produce energy. Dendron contains nasal granules. These dendrons contain nasal granules, but in the axon there is no nasal granule. Basing on the number of fibers, the neuron may be apolar, unipolar, bipolar, multipolar. Apolar means no fiber. Unipolar means a single fiber, that is the axon. And bipolar means 2 fibers, 1 axon, 1 dendron. Then multipolar means 1 axon and rest are dendrons. In motor neurons, because there are 2 categories of neurons, 3 categories, sensory, motor and mixed. Sensory means they carry impulses towards the central nervous system, these fibers. So, in motor means they take away. So, in motor neurons, axon is much longer than the dendrites. In most sensory neurons, dendrites are longer. In most sensory neurons, dendrites are longer. Diameter of the nerve fiber varies from 1 to 20 mu in vertebrates. 1 to 20 mu in vertebrates. Then cyton. Cyton means the cell body, that is the cyton, cell body. Number 1, neurofibrils, fine filaments passing through the cytoplasm from dendrite to axon. So neurofibrils means fine fibers. Here there are fine fibers which pass from dendrites